Top 5 Bloodiest Battles in World War II. The Battle of Stalingrad. Fought in Russia between August 1942 and February 1943, was one of the war's most important victories on the Eastern Front. Hitler's Germany suffered an estimated 800,000 losses in this horrific battle, which served as a turning point in the war and ultimately resulted in Russia incurring roughly the same number of casualties. Nazi Germany had made great progress on the Eastern Front during the summer of 1942, taking major chunks of Soviet territory. Adolf Hitler decided to conduct a military offensive to take control of the city of Stalingrad, which bears the name of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, as a representation of Soviet might. To cut off supplies and reinforcements to the Soviet defenses, the German strategy was to encircle and isolate the city. German forces advanced well at first, and by the end of August, they had surrounded the city. The Soviets were not, however, willing to give up so easily. They launched a counteroffensive under the direction of General Zhukov in an effort to escape the city's encirclement. Intense and severe warfare took place in Stalingrad. Both sides sustained significant losses as the city was reduced to ruins. Soldiers engaged in close-quarters combat while utilizing grenades, bayonets, and even just their bare hands as they fought house by house and street by street. The Germans refused to surrender despite the Soviets breaking the encirclement. As they fought for every square inch of territory, the city was divided in two by November, with the Germans controlling the west and the Soviets controlling the east. But things started to go in the Soviets' favor. There were not enough supplies or reinforcements for the German Sixth Army, which was in charge of defending Stalingrad. The whole German Sixth Army was encircled and trapped as the Soviet Union launched a strong counteroffensive on November 19. On January 31, 1943, the German Sixth Army was compelled to surrender, and nearly 91,000 soldiers were captured. It was a humiliating loss for Nazi Germany and the German army's first significant setback on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Stalingrad changed the course of the conflict. Along with dealing a serious damage to the German army, it also helped the Soviet people and the Allies feel more energized. It was a blatant indication that the war's momentum was beginning to shift away from Nazi Germany. An estimated 1.5 million people died in the conflict, making it one of the bloodiest in human history. Number 4. The Battle of Berlin. One of the most pivotal and devastating battles of World War II. The Battle of Berlin was the final major battle of World War II in Europe, fought between the Soviet Union and Germany. The battle took place from April 16 to May 2, 1945, and resulted in the death of over 100,000 Soviet soldiers and an estimated 200,000 German soldiers and civilians. The Soviet Union had been pushing westward towards Berlin since January 1945, after the successful completion of the Vistula-Oder offensive. The Red Army was determined to capture the German capital and bring an end to the war in Europe. On April 16, the Soviet Union launched the Berlin Strategic Offensive Operation, which involved over 1.5 million Soviet soldiers and thousands of tanks and aircraft. The Battle of Berlin was a brutal and intense fight, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The German defense was fierce, but the Soviet superior numbers and equipment proved too much for them to handle. On April 25, Soviet troops entered the city, and by April 30, they had reached the center of Berlin. On May 2, German forces officially surrendered to the Soviet Union. The Battle of Berlin was a devastating end to World War II in Europe, with the city left in ruins and thousands of lives lost. With the fall of Berlin, the war in Europe was officially over, and Germany was forced to accept the terms of the Potsdam Agreement, leading to the division of Germany and the beginning of the Cold War. The Battle of Berlin was a significant turning point in World War II and had far-reaching consequences that are still felt today. Number 3. The Battle of the Bulge. 1944, and the Allied forces have been advancing into Germany. The Battle of the Bulge, a surprise German invasion in Belgium's Ardennes forest, takes place on December 16. The Allies were unprepared for the battle, which was the final significant German onslaught on the Western Front. The Allies were forced back by the Germans' ability to achieve large gains. The German strategy was for dividing the Allied forces in half before surrounding and destroying them. But it was challenging for the Germans to advance due to the severe winter conditions and fierce Allied resistance. Both sides suffered several losses as a result of the violent and fierce battle. The Allies eventually stopped the attack and forced the Germans back despite their ability to advance far into Allied territory. One of the war's key turning points was the Battle of the Bulge. Significant losses were incurred by the German army, which never recovered. The momentum allowed the Allies to advance and finally overthrow Germany. With over 100,000 casualties, the Battle of the Bulge was one of the biggest and deadliest battles of World War II. Due to the Allies' fierce resistance and the challenging winter weather, the German onslaught, which had the potential to alter the direction of the war, eventually fell short. Number 2. The Battle of Iwo Jima. In the Pacific theater of World War II, the United States is closing in on Japan in the year 1945. Iwo Jima, a small volcanic island approximately 660 miles from the Japanese mainland, is one important target. For the United States, Iwo Jima was strategically significant because it could be utilized as a base for fighter planes to accompany bombers on raids over Japan. The Japanese fully secured the island with bunkers and subterranean tunnels. The United States conducted a significant amphibious assault on the island on February 19, 1945. Both sides suffered significant losses in the fierce and bloody conflict. The Japanese put up a valiant struggle, engaging in violent and ferocious combat. The battle was slow and challenging because American soldiers had to fight via a system of underground tunnels and bunkers. The United States eventually managed to take control of the island after a month of combat. Nearly 6,000 American soldiers and over 20,000 Japanese soldiers died in the conflict. A crucial action in the Pacific theater of World War II, Iwo Jima contributed significantly to the final defeat of Japan. The warriors' bravery and selflessness will never be forgotten. Number 1. The Battle of Normandy. 1944. The Allied armies have been planning for a significant invasion of Germany-occupied Europe since 1944. The beaches of Normandy, France, are the target. The assault, known by the code name Operation Overlord, was intended to be the biggest amphibious invasion ever. With more than 156,000 men, 7,000 ships, and 11,000 aircraft involved, it was a big operation. D-Day, which was June 6, 1944, saw the start of the invasion. Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword were the 5 beaches where the Allies set foot. German troops put up fierce resistance to the landing, with Omaha Beach seeing the most intense action. Both sides suffered several losses as a result of the violent and fierce battle. The war was far from done even if the Allies managed to gain ground on the beaches and advance inland. The liberation of Western Europe was made possible by the Battle of Normandy, which changed the course of the war. The courage of the soldiers who fought and died on the beaches of Normandy was a key factor in the invasion's success. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more content like this.